could I have my slides, please? But we're gonna get started anyway. I'm gonna start with some audience participation. So first, put your hands up if you were at AutoCon 1 in Amsterdam. Okay, thank you. For everybody who wasn't at AutoCon 1 in Amsterdam, you can ask somebody who was why there are so many cowboys in my presentation today. There's a backstory. Okay, next question, nice easy one. Put your hands up if you use NetBox. Nice, bunch of people. Okay, with the big button or the?
Yes, the big green button.
The big green one. There we go, good. Okay, lots of people using NetBox. Third one I've just made up. I don't have any prizes to give out, and I also have a bucket list item, so I want to kind of mix them up a little bit. Can somebody who is American here tell me what is it called when everyone kind of stands up across a crowd and it kind of makes a wave? What do you call that here? Wave. It's called a wave. Let's get a wave from the right. Starting over here, stand up please. Come on, I need you involved. And let's roll it through the room. There we go. Can we get it going back? We can get it going back. The power is intoxicating. All right, now I want it diagonally from that corner. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. Okay, so at AutoCon 1 in Amsterdam, I said network automation can seem a little daunting. And it can seem a little daunting because there's a lot of things moving in there. This is our network automation reference architecture that we created with our open source community and our partners and our customers. And there's a lot of tools, right? When you move into network automation, you're not just going to buy a single vendor's tool and do everything. You're going to be combining things. Now, this can seem daunting, but 60 intrepid automators went through our workshop yesterday morning and got all of this working in 4 hours. The tooling and education around network automation is improving greatly. And I want to look at some of the things that have happened in the last 6 months. So, at AutoCon 1 in Amsterdam, we announced the NetBox Cloud free plan. It's a ton easier to get started with learning something when in 60 seconds you can click on a button and get access to the tool that you need. And thousands of you have done that. I want to give a big shout out to Forward Networks for making it a prerequisite for their workshop the other morning. Our operations team sent me a worried message saying, why are you spinning up lots and lots of messages, lots and lots of instances in Denver? But that's exactly what it's built for, right? If you're learning something, we want you to be able to access the tools quickly. We also brought Diode to market. So one of the first things you want to start doing when you're automating networks is making sure that you've got a good baseline to automate against in your network source of truth. Diode is something we've invested in a lot. I'm going to be talking more about it a little bit later in my talk, and it helps you to get data into NetBox more easily. Next thing, I stood up at AutoCon 1 in Amsterdam, and I said, specifically, in NetBox 4.1, we're introducing stage changes, which will give you branching, merging, diffing, and everything else that you need to collaborate with your colleagues. Thank you. We kind of did that, but we actually split it out. So we got NetBox branching, which is available in all editions of NetBox, and then we got NetBox change management. Now, they are two of the fastest adopted features in NetBox history. And the reason for that is because, as we saw in the reference architecture earlier, there's a lot going on. So when you're working with NetBox, you need to be able to have intuitive and controllable processes for moving data around the reference architecture. Now, you've also been doing a ton of stuff. So I want to look at some of the highlights of the last 6 months. Swisscom open sourced their NetBox Kubernetes operator. Cloudflare continued to do a whole bunch of amazing work automating their networks worldwide using NetBox. Isinga and Sol1 became our partners, and they open sourced the Isinga integration from Sol1, which we used in the workshop yesterday. Arne Updal at Atea continues to do incredible work automating firmware upgrades based on NetBox. Ansible, event-driven, is cool, and they just put a ton of new features in AAP 2.5. Cisco did another successful Cisco Live in Las Vegas, 37,000 attendees with rock-solid Wi-Fi, in part brought to you by NetBox. Nutanix are managing an absolutely ginormous footprint, both on-prem and across all three of the main clouds, AWS, GCP, and Azure. They're doing that with NetBox, and we're going to have more news on that in the coming months. iTential launched Torero at AutoCon 1 in Amsterdam. Torero is dope. Check it out. They've also now released network automation as a service. They've got a NetBox branching part in their academy. Lots of things to check out. Go to the booth. NetPicker, I can't really keep up with all of the changes that NetPicker are making. We used it in the lab yesterday. Go and check them out too. The guys at Slurpit are busy cranking out new features, but somehow they also seem to have time to have released Mockit, which is a tool that makes it easier for you to test your automation using NetConf. And over in Europe, Adam Kirchberger at Nomios released PyTest NetConf, which helps you do the same kind of thing. IP Fabric have been doing critically important work around making sure that European companies can run their networks compliantly. Nokia are basically just showing off at this point. Wim is doing incredible work with KubeNet and the Container Lab team. I'm pretty sure every workshop this week used Container Lab. It's my go-to for labbing. It's made the whole world much easier. CloudVision celebrated its first decade. Glueware has new AI capabilities on top of their robotic process automation framework and their NetBox integration. And Juniper has sprinkled some AI on their fantastic Mist product. If you want to see how to build a good API, go and have a look at Mist and take inspiration from that. That's a lot of automation. Now, I've seen this before. I was really close to the DevOps movement and then later the cloud native movement. And it felt exactly like this. Something big's happening here. And it's the reason why it's happening is because people in this room are making it happen. And I think that's pretty exciting. So big round of applause for all of yourselves. So that's just in the last 6 months, but there is much, much more work to do. At NetBox Labs, we speak to hundreds of companies who are at all stages of their network automation journeys, and we start to notice patterns. So typically, companies who are reaching for network automation are putting out a wildfire. They're not getting any more staff. They've got increasingly complex networks. They're bigger networks. They're being asked to do changes faster. They've got out-of-date tooling. We've got into the habit of asking an icebreaker question during some of our calls, and it goes like this. Would you say that your network is 100% documented? And it has the exact desired effect of getting everyone laughing at the beginning of a call. These teams are fighting a wildfire, and what they need is documentation. They need a map, and we call that day one. Having a network documented in NetBox is a fantastic first start for network automation, but your network is changing all the time, right? Just being able to see how is it changing doesn't really, you don't want to look at it down on a really fine-grained level. What you want to do is you want to be able to look at the great big trends. Everybody in this room probably has one site which they just finished and it's pristine and it's perfect, and 3 more sites which are total dumpster fires, right? Tooling needs to reflect that this is just a reality, and we call this day 1.5. Once you've removed the drift between your source of truth and your network, you're now back in control. But even the companies we speak to are at this stage are remaining hyper vigilant, because as soon as you start letting standards slip, you can very easily slip back to where you were before. And these are the problems that we're working on solving at NetBox Labs. And that's why this morning we introduced NetBox Discovery. NetBox Discovery extracts the operational state from your network so that you can onboard that information into NetBox. It helps you to know where and when you're seeing operational drift across days 1, 1.5, and 2. NetBox Discovery will be separate from, but tightly integrated with NetBox, and it's leaning on our existing work with Diode, if some of you have seen that already. That provides an agent-based, scalable solution for capturing operational state. It will be available in all editions of NetBox in Q4 2024, so that means real soon. But as our Discovery partners, and many of you know, Discovery is just part of the puzzle, which is why I'm also excited that we announced NetBox Assurance this morning. In the beginning of 2025, you'll be able to get your hands on this, and NetBox Assurance helps you to make sense of and act on operational state from all sources, including NetBox Discovery. Like NetBox Discovery, it's separate from NetBox, but highly integrated, and also leans on our existing work with Diode. It helps you to lower the barrier for end users, partners, and NetBox Discovery to be able to push data into assurance workflows around NetBox. Our approach to discovery and to assurance are the same ones that we have for all our products. We talk about having an open and composable ecosystem of tools. As we saw in the reference architecture at the beginning, there's many different options that you may want to use to assemble that architecture. And our Big Tent philosophy means that when you choose NetBox, you can bring the network management stack that you want to work with it, the one that you know and you love. Now, if you want to hang around with some of that ecosystem, you can come to our social this evening. It's at 7 o'clock. I think we're buying you the first free drink, and I think the food is free all night. Thank you very much.